All right, today we're going to talk about TIG welding. Today I'm going to do what they call a pushing the puddle. We'll do a filler stringer bead, and then we'll do autogenist, which is an autogenist is fusing two pieces of metal together with no filler. Here I have my my torch. I have my electrode, which is the red band indicates that it's a 2% thoriated tungsten electrode. I have my filler rod. I've got my gloves, and I've got my welding helmet. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I got a good ground, that my metal is clean, because with TIG you want nice and clean surface to weld on. If you're welding dirty metal with TIG, impurities and porosities will come out into that weld. First thing I'm going to do is make sure that my ground is good. Make sure my electrode, which I already have one in here, has a nice fine point to it, almost like a pencil point, because we want that current to be directed very small into the base of the metal to create a fast flowing puddle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my power on. Okay, I've already have my amperage preset for the gauge metal that I need. With this type of welding, we have a shielding gas which shields the dirty atmosphere away from my weld, so I have a nice, clean, smooth weld. So the first thing I want to do is I want to check my post flow and my pre-flow and my post flow. So I'll pull the trigger, and on the bottle there's a tube you'll see, and a ball will float up, and that will tell me if my gas is flowing. So I've got it set to flow about anywhere from 8 to 12 seconds. So I've checked that. I'm going to turn my power off. I want to get my safety equipment ready. I want to make sure that I got gloves on. With TIG welding, it puts out a very high ultraviolet rays, and it's a very high heat. So I want to make sure that my hands and my arms are protected. This is an auto flash helmet. Not like the old days where you had helmets where they wouldn't flash. I can have this helmet down and still be able to see. And once my current hits my base metal, it flashes my helmet. I like to take my electro or my cable and put it over my shoulder to get some of the slack out of it. Okay, I'm all set, and first thing I'm going to do is just push a puddle. It happens very fast because it's a very high current. Shields down. Okay, so I've got everything set up, and it's very important to be comfortable when you're doing this. This torch here has a trigger on the torch head itself. This is not a foot pedal operated torch. So I want about a 70-degree angle for my torch, and I'm going to move from the right to the left. I'm going to form a puddle, and I'm going to start pushing it, striking an arc. As the puddle forms, I slowly move it. I like to count in my head, 1, 2, 1, 2, and move that nice and slow while I'm forming the puddle. Now, when I'm done welding, I want to keep my torch there because I have that post-flow gas. And what that's doing is it's shielding the atmosphere away from my weld while it cools. So that's the first thing I do is I push the puddle. Okay. If you take your electrode and accidentally dip it into the puddle, or you take your filler rod and you dip it onto the electrode, that electrode is contaminated. And what you want to do is you want to shut everything down. You want to pull the electrode out. You can either change it or clean them up. All right, so now we'll do a filler rod. I like to cane my ends. That way I don't poke anyone. If I have someone next to me, this filler rod's not going to poke on them. Okay, shield down. Again, I like to count while I'm doing it. Striking an arc. So I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now I have a post flow. I leave my torch there until my weld cools. What you're looking for is a nice, even, smooth weld, good penetration. You want about 100% penetration. If I take this metal and I flip it over, and I see these nice, even lines here, I know that that's good penetration and I've moved at a good, steady pace. Okay, so I'm gonna turn power off for a minute. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 2 pieces of metal, and I'm going to fuse them together without filler. Now I want to make sure that this metal is raised up high enough off the magnet so I don't weld the magnet. Okay, I'm going to turn power on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these 2 pieces of metal and I'm going to fuse them both together. Striking an arc. It happens very fast. Again, I post flow. As you can see, on the side of this metal, where it's been fused, the top's been fused together, on the side of the metal, you'll see different colors. Okay, and these colors here are your HAZ, your heat affected zone. If your HAZ is nice and even going all the way down, you're moving at a good steady pace. If it tends to drop and go back up, you're too slow. If it's too tight, then you're going too fast and you're not fusing the metal together. If it's a nice, steady, even line of your HAZ, that means you've moved at a good speed. And those are the basic skills on doing TIG welding. Thanks.